This episode of the Gladiator Podcast is made possible by our generous supporters. Special thanks to our Hoplomachus and Gladiator tier patrons, like RecDeck. Support the show and become a patron today at patreon.com/secondright. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Gladiator Podcast, your place for Gladiator news and content. I'm JB, and here with me today we have...
UFO.
As well as...
Seismic Lawns, I guess.
And further going we have...
Hi, I'm Violet and confused by the energy in this room.
I mean, that's just a day with Joker in general.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is
great,
episode
honestly.
13. Oh, yeah. We are here doing the thing. We are after the Gladiator Games for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. And wait, we're streaming and it isn't a set review?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I'm your human rabbit battery, but UFO, why don't you tell us what the plans are going forward?
So, pre-recorded content when it comes to these podcasts has become more of a chore than it has been an act of love. And with the set reviews going so well, we are now switching over to the completely live format because we think it works better for all this.
Yeah, like almost universally better.
Yeah. The stream of consciousness talking is just kind of what we're set out to do in the first place. So you're going to have that with us here and all the various things that entails.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that means that the current plan is that we are going to be doing this weekly, and that's as our great host says in chat, you are going to like it. That is not a choice.
Or else.
Yes.
As we all know, that's a great way to talk to fans. Good job. We're all here for it. And yeah. That also means that you're going to hear me and a lot. I will do my best to be better about it. But, we've been doing this for nearly a year now.
Nearly. Over.
What? Over?
It's definitely been over a year. Yeah, we started in February last year.
Okay, over a year now. Just because it's been a while since we've done an actual episode where we talked about our interactions with Gladiator, I just wanted to give us some time here to talk about what Gladiator is now, because it's changed a lot. We've talked about cool cards, but goodness,
what is Gladiator now? Well,
it's changed a lot.
Gladiator now, as compared to the What is Gladiator's episode 0 that we made back in February of 2021, the format has expanded, almost doubled, honestly, when it comes to available cards. And that has had effect on many things, but some of the constants still exist. You can play aggro, you can play mid-range, you can play control. The cards within those decks are going to be a little different than you may have seen last year, but the general strategies are going to have stayed somewhat the same, even if they have gotten more efficient, more refined, and gotten better cards, frankly. No longer are we playing... what was that card?
Pyromantic Pilgrim?
No. Pyromantic Pilgrim was gone by the time we started this podcast.
Yeah, that one was a relic even then.
Yeah.
No longer are we playing Golos in every mid-range deck.
True, yeah.
That is such a refreshing thing the first time I felt good cutting that card.
Yeah. No longer are we playing... There's a card that I want to talk about, but come back to me. It'll come here. It'll come.
Yeah, okay.
All right. On, the subject of Golos and like these cards that are now much worse. I think back then we kind of had this outlook on combo that it was like most of the time combo is like really goofy giggle magic, and you can still win with it, and that's, you know, one of the great things about the format. And it's kind of crazy now that like combo decks are one of the more like prolific kinds of decks, in the sense that combo win cons are just the way that control will win a lot of the time now, because of pretty specifically Tainted Pact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I definitely need to get back into my Emergent Ultimatum combo decks, because I think those have just gotten more efficient and more possible now.
We've gotten so many toys.
For sure, yeah.
I think honestly, it's just time to revive high roll memes, which is less of a meme.
High roll lethal meme.
Yeah. Well, truthfully, just for context of those who don't know my own specific naming conventions, because why would you? High roll memes is a Sultai channel combo deck that uses Emergent Ultimatum as a backup plan.
Right.
Channel is a card in our format that is just, it's there and it's completely fine, because outside of this one deck it isn't good.
It's very crazy that we are like JR said in the Gladiator Games yesterday, it's very weird and refreshing that we are the only format listed on Scryfall that has channel legal, and that we're also a format where channel's pretty bad, actually.
Yeah.
I've seen
honestly,
the card.
I don't see it getting better.
I can't imagine it getting better without a lot changing here.
I can see it getting better in one way, which is notice that we're getting slightly more like single pip green cards now. We were in a time, especially like around last year, where all of the good green cards were like double, triple pips. And, you know, if you wanted to build a green deck that included a lot of these really high power threats, you were going to be spending, you could run maybe like one or two, if that, colorless lands.
Yeah. I guess the question there is, what does it actually matter to channel out something that big when it's just going to get swords the second it comes down? Right.
Yeah, swords,
like a single big creature doesn't really win the game in Gladiator anymore with the amount of efficient removal running around the format.
I think similarly that actually makes channel better when there's more single pip cards, because then you actually have the opportunity to use channel to push out two other spells, or to push out a horde of creatures, things like Thragtusk, which before was kind of one of a kind in like very good threat that was one pip.
Yeah.
Now we've gotten things like Lupine Harbingers, which is 4 mana, 4/4, and it's 1 green pip, and that's what matters for like this case. You can play it in any green deck whatsoever, including one that wants to be kind of light on pips in order to use channel to its best effect.
Though notably, if I'm going to be playing channel, if I'm going to have to choose between channel and Invoke the Ancient / Yorvo / Old Growth Troll / the one that's an elf that I don't remember the name
Steel
of.
Leaf Champion.
Steel Leaf Champion. I'm choosing the high pip green spells every single time.
Yeah,
especially Invoke the Ancients. I love Invoke the Ancients. Play it in your mono green decks. Play it even in mono green aggro as your only 5. It is the best 5-drop in mono green.
This is what.
It's okay, Gigantosaurus. They're not talking about you.
I'm exclusively talking about them, but yes.
That was what I was going to mention. Dang it. Yeah. What was I going to say? Right. Yeah. So channel has been in sort of a weird place as mentioned, and definitely Alchemy has given us a lot of cards to try and make it better. And honestly, something that will make channel interesting to see is the more rocks we get. They're slowly giving us more 3-mana rocks, and if we start working backwards, we're going to start getting more 2-mana rocks, and it's going to be interesting to see. There's been 2 ways I've seen channel be good in this format, and one involved a turn to Aether
Flux Reservoir?
A turn to Aether Flux Reservoir into play 3 rocks win.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that was a very stacked hand. I want to be very clear when I say that. But there's that, and then there is that Emergent Ultimatum deck, which was like, I'm going to pay 7 life for a Chromatic Orrery, and then we're going to hope we can win. And sometimes it did.
Yeah, my just to explain the combo channel a little bit more than just Chromatic Orrery. Channel has 2 kind of modes within the deck that I'm talking about. One is you have channel, you have a tutor, and you will end that tutor with more than 15 life. So you can tutor for Planar Bridge and pay the entirety of its 14 mana to tutor out a thing, which then would be like Omniscience, or if not Omniscience, Chromatic Orrery. But just to get something into play. Planar Bridge plus Channel is kind of what, I wouldn't say breaks it, but what makes it work within the context of having it in an Omniscience combo deck.
Yeah.
And then Chromatic Orrery being a 7-mana, only effectively 2 though, because it gives you back 5. That makes all your other spells able to be cast off exclusively channel mana. That's also big deals.
Yeah.
One card I think people haven't seen within this context that I think I want to start. As I'm playing this deck more, is going to start becoming more and more apparent. Is Ominous Traveler.
Oh yeah,
I hate this card. I love it.
It's such a fun card.
I love this card, and I'm gonna have to do the math on if turn 2 with 20 health. You can just make a board that is lethal the next turn with Ominous Traveler.
You
Nothing
can make
else.
a board that's lethal that turn.
Well, no.
You have to high roll, but you can.
Well, you can make a board that's lethal that
very
turn.
Lucky.
Because of the way that Dominating Vampire, which is the haste granter within there, works, you're not going to be giving haste until you have to most things until you have the 3rd vampire in play.
Yeah,
which
that's never mind. I miscounted, right?
Yeah, you only have 19 mana to work with, and your average cycle of this card is 4. You get about 5 to 6 creatures, which very well might be enough to just win the game instantly. But it isn't as favorable as you may think.
And for context, Ominous Traveler, this 2 colorless for a 1/1 creature human. What? This is a human? What?
Yes, it's a human.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a human.
Oh my god, it's okay.
Because it makes things that aren't humans.
When Ominous Traveler enters the battle, it makes humans. We've got some werewolves in there. Enters the battlefield. Draft a card from Ominous Traveler's spellbook. There's 15 cards in the spellbook. We haven't talked about spellbooks yet. Spellbooks say, "Yeehaw! We're going for variants." So how spellbooks work in the context of drafting them? There are 15 cards. Usually, they can change this. They haven't established it always has to be 15 cards, but in this case, there's 15 cards. You draft one of them, which means that you look at 3 random ones from the 15, and you take one of them, and that goes into your hand in this case. Draft a card for Ominous Traveler spellbook. That card perpetually gains. You may spend mana as though we're mana of any color to cast this spell. And I need to keep reading the card, Effie, please. Oh no.
And when you cast the spell, return Ominous Traveler to his owner's hand.
Thank you. Yeah.
Not specifically Ominous Traveler, any card named Ominous Traveler.
Yeah.
So if somehow you get some weird naming conventions,
good old spy kit.
It's also a case or where copy Ominous Traveler with a copy, you get a bunch of things. I killed someone with a Traveler not 20 minutes ago in Paradorks.
Seems good. But yeah, the important line of text for combo applications is with channel, all of them are colorless.
Yes.
For a Paradox Engine deck, you only need colorless mana, and you can usually win with three mana that gets untapped.
Yeah, always win with 3 mana untapped mana.
There's a 4-drop and a 5-drop. There's a 4-drop and a 5-drop.
I understand. I have done the math, Joker. 3 mana is a guaranteed win. 2 mana is the unsure, and it's still usually good enough.
Is there not 3 4 plus drops? I thought there was 3 4 plus drops.
There are 3 things that are 4 or more. However, because Ominous Traveler costs 2,
the total loop is 6 mana, so you get 2 untaps within it.
Okay, you're right. So with a Hedron Archive and a Mind Stone, you win with the Paradox Engine.
Yes, and even with just 2 mana, the math is actually in your favor to still make enough extra mana every once in a while to be able to pay the 6 mana loop cost if need be.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning, Effie has put a Wolfkin Outcast on the screen. You only see 1 copy of every card, so even if we see the worst one, which is Wolfkin Outcast, Harem Blessed Gaitan, and if we always see those 3, we can just keep taking the 4-drop, and that still works. That was my point of confusion, but there's not enough cards in the pack that you can get locked into taking a 5 or a 6, so it just always works.
Yes. That's actually my favorite thing about these.
I hate it. It's just so good.
Digital draft a card from a spellbook cards is that you're never getting the worst one in there.
Oh yeah.
And you are, as often as the best one comes up, you are always taking it. So the actual spellbook ends up effectively being closer to, 12 or 13 cards rather than the full 15.
It's also
is very nice.
We coasted over a little bit, but it is worth mentioning that the win con is dominating Vampire in this case for this Ominous Traveler loop.
Not explicitly, but yes.
Well, it can be.
If you have nothing else on board, it is worth talking about. If you have nothing else that you can, if you have nothing else you can do, if you can't crack your mana rocks, if you have absolutely nothing else, it is worth talking about. There is this dominating Vampire that is in the spellbook, and what it says is that you take control of target creature, and it gains haste until end of turn. Has to have mana value equal to or less than the number of vampires you control. So you keep looping this, and you just
a bunch of vampires.
You just get a bunch of dominating vampires, give enough creatures haste that you deal lethal damage no matter what, and yeehaw.
Yep. The other notable card within the spellbook is Shipwreck Sifters, which says when it enters, draw a card, then discard a card. Yeah. So as long as you have one card in your hand, you also will be looting through your deck to find the thing that is easier to execute than having to get 20 dominating vampires.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes required.
Yeah.
Also, shoutouts.
Yeah, go.
Shoutouts to other Paradox combo card from Alchemy, Sigardian Evangel. Yeah, Sigardian Evangel. 2 mana 3/1. When it enters the battlefield, tap a permanent you don't control.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really seeing much play as a Paradox combo card. It's seeing much more play as a really, really, really good card in mono white aggro.
Yeah, it's also just a 3/1, right?
2 mana 3/1 with
2 mana 3/1 taps them out of Settle or Wreckage mana. Also, when it enters the battlefield, conjure a card named Sigardian Evangel into your hand. Discard that card at the beginning of the next end step.
Yep. So if you have 4 mana, you just get 2 3/1s, and also you can get them back with Luris or whatever.
Why does it discard?
Well, but anyway, the other use, just notably with Channel and Ominous Traveler, is if you do Channel, Ominous Traveler, Aetherflux Reservoir, that is another way to do what we were talking about and go effectively
infinite.
Infinite.
That one you've got to get a little bit more lucky on. No, because if you hit one spell cast, 2 spell casts, that's the Aether's Flux Reservoir. You gain 3 life off the Ominous Traveler. You have to have 6.
You gain 3 life off the Ominous Traveler, and then every single spell you're casting afterwards gains you at least 4 life. So there's no no spell you can be forced into again because of the fact that you're
right.
You know, you have to be really low for it.
You have to have 11 life when you do it to guarantee. Okay.
11 life or extra mana, because Channel doesn't make you unable to tap your lands for mana.
True.
Talking about these alchemy cards actually brings up another thing that's new with this format, is that not since we last talked, but since the beginning of the format, we have gone from having the occasional extra release of previously existing cards into historic.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have completely new digital only cards, and a lot of them are really powerful.
Yeah.
There's many standout cards, I would say.
Yeah. Can we get a Town Razor Tyrant on screen? Let's talk about this card for a moment.
Are we sure we want to talk about it? It might change next week.
Yeah.
That's why I want to talk about it. Okay, so
the card that changed twice and is still good.
Yeah.
My God.
Okay. To talk about this. Okay. Breathe. All right. Town Razor Tyrant. Nobody knows what it does. It's always changing. An important part with alchemy is that alchemy is made to be closer to a game like Legends of Runeterra or other digital card games where they can update cards. That is just a thing that exists in alchemy. We are not using rebalance cards that are originally printed as a paper card for the purposes of Arena. Don't function like that.
Yeah. It's not even cards, like a case of we haven't even gotten really a chance to discuss whether or not we should. We just don't have the ability to.
Yeah.
We do technically now have the ability to, but it's not functional.
We've always had the ability to. Like there were workarounds we discovered to make it work day one of the alchemy release, but it was so obtuse that it ended up being a case where it wasn't valuable to try to teach everyone in the format how to do this, because we also hadn't even had the full discussion of whether or not we should.
Yeah. So there's that going on. So just know that like we can't use rebalance cards that were already printed in paper, but cards like Town Razor Tyrant, those cards are originally printed in alchemy, so we don't they didn't put the rebalance version of the card as its own thing. We just have how they keep changing it. So this card right now, what it says, it is 2 red for a 4/4 flying creature dragon. Good already. When it enters the battlefield, target non-basic land you don't control loses all abilities except mana abilities and gains at the beginning of your end step. This permanent deals 2 damage to you unless you sacrifice it. To talk about what it was before, it used to say non-basic land at the beginning of your upkeep.
And then before that, it said
land.
Yes.
Which
so they've tweaked this card a bit, and they're going to be tweaking other cards similarly, where power level will go up or down based on alchemy stuff. So while I know personally I am not very in tune with anything to do with alchemy when it comes to the actual format, the changes that do come to the cards themselves will affect us in this way. And while I know that there's various ways you can look at it and decide whether or not you think that it's valuable to have such change, I think that the taking advantage of the digital nature of arena is a very good sign for me personally in my experience and ways I interact with digital media and games.
Oh yeah,
go. And also for alchemy and how it's being rebalanced, we've seen a good number of buffs for the cards in alchemy throughout the few months that it's been out.
Mm-hmm.
And we've only seen 3 nerfs.
What was the third one?
Two of them on Town Razor. Yeah, 2 of them on Town Razor Tyrant.
Okay. Is it the double Town Razor Tyrant and then the Fledgling?
Oh wait, no, sorry. We've had 4 nerfs on 3 cards because Inquisitor Captain got a slight nerf.
Right. I forgot about that card.
Yeah, and then the one I had forgotten about was Fearsome Whelp. Got a slight nerf.
Yes.
And Town Razor Tyrant got 2. But other than that, we've gotten a good number of changes that were all buffs otherwise.
Yeah. Shout out to this dumb 1/1 dragon, by the way, Fearsome Whelp. I just want to get this one on the screen because it's such a fun baby dragon.
Such a cool
boy. And luckily, it no longer is extremely mana efficient. It's just really mana efficient.
Yeah, it's a 2-mana 1/1 flying haste. Now it has haste. I love this baby dragon. At the beginning of your upkeep, each dragon card in your hand perpetually gains the spell cost 1 less to cast. Didn't have haste before. Used to trigger on your end step. By the way, this triggers dragon tribal cards. So if we ever get those shapeshifter instants or sorceries, watch out.
Or good old 1 mana crib swap.
Yeah, right. Yeah. 1 mana crib swap, 1 mana inversion, nameless inversion. Got there. Point being, this card allowed for some really silly stuff. You can still do a lot of the silly stuff with it, but this gives now it's set up that your opponent actually gets a chance to interact with you with sorcery speed removal, which is a real drag. But oh no. That's a first world problems sort of thing. It did hinder my ability to make the dark ritual into a turn 3. What's the card called? Dark ritual for a turn 3 Inferno of the Star Mounts. No, Inferno of the Star Mounts. Turn 3 Inferno of the Star Mounts was a good plan, and this makes it a little difficult, but it's still fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
also, while we have time, there's a lot of ways to play Gladiator. And one of the biggest ways to play Gladiator, just when it comes to scale, is the Gladiator Games. And that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I think we all participated in some way, right?
I made a really bad pun.
That counts.
Yes.
Take this.
Yeah, JB passively enjoyed the existence of the Gladiator Games, but the rest of us played in it, I believe.
Yeah, yes. I ended 9th with 4-1, which, when prizes were hard cut at 8th place, is a sad time.
Yeah, I ended 3-2 after a 3-0 start, which was definitely a bit unfortunate, but so it goes.
And to round us out, I ended 2-3, which honestly is kind of what I was expecting for the deck I was bringing.
Which was
Boros robots.
Gotcha.
I didn't convince you hard enough to play the Grixis combo deck.
You didn't, and my alternative was, if I wasn't playing Boros bots, I would be playing Jund Kiki Jiki.
Yeah,
and
which I think
if I wasn't, which is a bad deck that I've tested none, and past that, I would have been playing the deck I've been playing for a while now, which is Gruul Legends. But that's if I actually wanted to win games,
right? Mm-hmm. If I had played, I was probably gonna bring a spicy one in Naya Dragons.
I ended up having very little time to play Magic recently, and putting together a Rakdos Pyromancer deck like 2 hours before the event started, and it did good somehow.
Yeah, seems good. I also had similarly a slow amount of playing Gladiator in the last few week. Looks at 120 hours played in Elden Ring a week after release. Yes. So I went back to the tried and true Gruul mid-range that I've been working on for nearly 2 years now. So I don't need to have played it recently. I've played it so much already that it doesn't feel
It's second
odd.
nature.
It's second nature.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Notably, a card that I added that's not from Neon Dynasty recently, but Light Up the Night, an edition right before the game started, and in at least 2 situations, if not more, was the card that almost single-handedly won the game.
Really?
Really? I mean,
Yes.
I respect it. I know that you play a lot of Planeswalkers. I respect it.
Well, the flashback didn't even matter. It's this
Okay.
having access to a second Banefire, because I already have been playing Banefire for nearly a year and a half now, and it's never been leaving the deck.
Yeah.
But the fact that I don't need to go up a mana, I can pay 2 mana and kill a 2/2. I can pay 1 mana and kill a 1/1, an X1
Right.
with Light of the Night is really useful in staying on curve against, say, a mono white aggro deck. And then I'm playing against a control deck, and I get them to 6, and I got 7 mana, and I kill them with Light Up the Night.
Fair enough.
The flashback is just sort of icing on the cake, because yes, there was a bunch of Planeswalkers in the deck, but really, it just being the next best X spell, like, I just really couldn't justify playing the other ones.
Fair enough.
Like, Purpose of Dimension is also in the deck. I play effectively 3 X damage spells. Purpose of Dimension is kind of the best one of them, because it does double damage to creatures and planeswalkers, and then still does damage to players via the haste elemental it makes.
That is it's a very cool looking elemental. Do you have the style for the Purpose's Intervention? So it's a Board Wars token.
I don't know.
It's such a good looking token.
I mean, I'm slowly working to completely leveling out that deck. I'm not that far away from it.
Yeah. And speaking of new cards for Magic, we very soon, actually, oddly enough, we talk about Gladiator Games. It's hosting a new set coming out. Look at that token. It looks so good, borderless. I can recommend if you have a chance to see it. Anyway, with new cards coming out, we saw the first few cards for Streets of New Capenna, and we only saw 2 cards effectively. We saw that we're finishing the Triumph cycle. We're getting the rest of the tricycles. We're getting the Naya, Bant, Esper, Jund, and I'm choking on this one. What's the last one?
Grixis.
Okay. Thank goodness. We're getting 4 other lands in the Junderdome.
4 irrelevant lands and the Junderdome, indeed.
Yeah. For reference, these lands have 3 land types. They enter tapped and they have cycling 3. We saw the first half of the cycle show up in Ikoria. They were called Triomes. Now these ones have a bit more stylized names. Which, to be fair, Triomes were stylized to Ikoria. Want to give a shout out to that one.
3 biomes within one, because it's a big wild land that there really isn't much civilization in, honestly.
Yeah.
And the civilization that does exist is either actively antagonistic with the rest of the rest of the land, or actively symbiotic with the rest of the land, and there's no in between.
Yeah. So yeah, we're finally seeing these cycles completed, and then we also saw that we're getting Ascendancies, but we only saw one of them right now, and that is a Broker's Ascendancy.
I've not seen this one.
A green, a white, and a blue for an enchantment that says at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. Can we get the other style up? Because if Yopo hasn't seen this yet, I think he'll respect the other style. It's pretty cool.
I believe I saw the art.
Did you? All right.
I saw it, it was being talked about in the Discord. I just
fair enough.
was too busy becoming the Lord of Frenzied Flame to worry about what people are talking about with this game.
Fair enough.
It's such
Those
good
are
art.
supposedly words I say going back to my Hollow Knight.
Look, yeah. It turns out Violet became a bit of a gamer in the last few months.
I will say though, I really, really love the abstract and otherwise border sort of the border unique borders and abstract art within Magic. I love when they don't stay to the like sort of close to realistic, hyper stylized sort of stuff that they have been doing for the last little while. Before
I art gush more, this card is actually kind of interesting. We haven't seen a super. We haven't seen a super. Yeah, that was the planes I was going to talk about. Thank you, Effie. Such a good planes. Such a good planes.
These basics are so good.
I love that first planes. That first planes is going to become my non-snow covered planes. It's so good.
I think. Which one?
That mountain. That's a good mountain.
I hadn't seen that.
I would like to
one of these basic
everyone
lands are my favorites.
Yeah.
That I think of all the things I've spent money on within Arena, I've probably spent the most just comparatively on cosmetics throughout, just when it comes to like, that thing's like 60% off. I'll get the style for Vivian Monster's Advocate or something. I paid full price for so many basic land styles at this point. And if I can be a little, if I evangelize a little bit, I honestly think that Arena would make more money by reducing the cost of the actual cards, and because these styles and the art, like the alternate arts, they don't need to change the price. People are still willing to pay that money now. But more people getting invested in a deck to be like, oh my god, I can make this Parallax. I can get the storybook version of my Bone Crusher Giant for my decks in every format that Bone Crusher Giant is legal in.
I've definitely thrown a draft's worth of gems away on the snow covered pixel lands. Can we get a snow covered swamp from the pixel set? That's my first
Should be a secret layer, one of the secret layer drops.
It's a secret layer drop.
Don't you have to have bought the secret layer to get these?
No.
Nope.
No, they were in the stores. They were just in the store.
Huh.
Oh, I didn't see them in the store.
I don't know if they still are.
I mean,
but
I don't know if they secret layer and got these, but like...
Yeah. It's this one and the island that did it for me. I was playing Blue Black Tempo and I looked at those lands again. I was just like, all right, I have to get them. And then I just okay, Broker's Ascendancy, right. Super Friends is a deck that we haven't really seen outside of, say, a dragon combo deck that I'm sure nobody here knows anything about.
I certainly wouldn't.
Yeah, definitely no one knows about a Saheeli Dragon deck. Anyway,
I did spend like 30 hours on that deck only for it to prove bad in literally every scenario.
To talk about this card.
Let's get together and build Dragonstorm again, okay? Let's actually make Dragonstorm good.
I don't care about Dragonstorm. I care about Saheeli Dragon.
But
you can
play.
Got it.
You can play the final deck in our format that actually plays a Planeswalker deck, Planeswalker, and isn't embarrassed in itself.
That is a good point. God, Magic is such a great game, and Saheeli Dragon is such a terrible deck that I really need to play again.
Yeah. Okay. Broker's Ascendancy. Why this card is interesting is because Super Friends is a deck that has been experimented with a lot, but hasn't really pulled up results in the way that you would be like, yeah, they won with Planeswalkers all the time, right? Like, we haven't seen that sort of crushing value, and this is the card that might make that jump possible because we've gotten enough Planeswalkers that make tokens. We've gotten enough Planeswalkers that make tokens, produce a board, and this is the kind of card that lets that deck feel like it's doing things for a reason, right? Just like, why am I not just playing better creatures in Bant, say, for example, right? Like, instead of jamming more Planeswalkers in, why am I not just playing better creatures instead? This is the kind of card that helps make those pieces fit in is probably the best way I can say it, right? And then also there's stuff like a lot of planeswalkers are designed to ult 2 turns after they come down. This says that those planeswalkers can ult the next turn.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of potential there, and it's going to be interesting to see if this card finds a home in that sense.
So,
but also, planeswalkers are not the only thing that you do with this card.
Oh, yeah, sure.
This just is really good for Bant Go Wide, which mid-range does very well these days.
Yeah, this is fine for like a Bant, like a more focused on Go Wide Bant sort of build. Like, I'm not going to play this in Bant mid-range, but I can make a version that
kind
does.
Of Bant deck that plays Elspeth, the Theros Beyond Death Elspeth.
Oh, hey, look at this Planeswalker. This is funny segue. Look at this Planeswalker that only minuses, but can now get loyalty thanks to a good friend, Broker's Ascendancy.
Yeah. Broker's Ascendancy honestly was just made for
twice more.
Just made for Elspeth.
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny that it's the Bant one that is.
Right.
It's I don't
flavor.
know if it's
flavorful.
Elspeth's been through so much.
Yeah.
Gonna be like,
when is New Capenna coming out?
End of April. Yeah.
I do have the capacity to look up and then travel to New York City to pre-release New Capenna.
Yeah, and she is back for New Capenna. She is actually not with the Bant Guild. It's shown on the art pack what group she's working for. I don't know if we can get the art pack in here. Probably not.
Probably not. I don't
pack art. I said art pack. Why did you say art pack, JB?
There is art that we've seen on booster packs that
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it'll do.
We see that
the art style of this
she's
whole
wearing
set.
angel feathers, and then she's the guild symbol is the Esper Guild, I want to say.
Makes sense.
I can't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but I remember talking to someone and they're like, yeah, it's not the Bant Guild, it's the Esper one.
I probably would go to the Esper Guild too if I had recently become undead. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Probably a little more accepting.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Because does Elspeth count as a zombie?
Not as a zombie, but is undead at least technically.
So
in theory, she should be an enchantment creature right now.
Well, let us ask the question. The situation that Elspeth went through, what, like, within the Greek mythos, what does that mean?
Escaping from hell just gives you your soul back, as we've seen from Greek mythos, basically.
Yeah.
So she's just a revived human.
Yeah, pretty much. In theory, with how it works in Theros, technically she could have been an enchantment creature. Like, she could be an enchantment creature, but that's like, there's so many different levels of explaining that are weird. Yeah, so...
Well, the enchantment creature, if we're going to go deep, the enchantment creature aspect of that was because of the gold masks, right?
Right, and she found a way to remove her mask, so,
Yeah.
What was I going to say next?
Back to Broker's Ascendancy.
Yeah, sure, why not? Let's
we
talk
got
about
a little off track, as we often do.
Healy Dragon is a terrible deck.
Yes.
But I did lie when I said it was terrible in all aspects.
Correct.
Sometimes it wins the game because it just has, like, it lands 3 planeswalkers, and the opponent can only choose to kill, like, one of them at a time. And by the time they kill all of them, I've replayed the equivalent.
I'm telling you, you just have to ult Samet the Tested and you win. It's guaranteed.
That's legitimately true.
It's guaranteed. You just have to ult Samet the Tested, and Samet the Tested has to live, and you win. You just win.
It sounds like you're adding extra caveats after you convinced us.
Just win.
You just win
I
if
was
you
ready to
ultimate
believe
Sam
you.
at the test.
But now I don't.
Well, it's like, well, no, so like to talk
I know
about that
the
legitimately, yeah.
Go.
You get Vorinclex from Coldheim, and you get
I think
Spark. No, you get Vorinclex from Kaldheim. You get a Spark Double, and then you Spark Double your Samet the Tested. That Samet the Tested is able to ult immediately and also survive. You get Saheeli. You get Saheeli and what's it called? You get Saheeli and Sark
on the Master List?
Yeah, and that just wins because you Sark on the Master List.
I can tell you a much easier third step for that.
Sure.
You can grab. But actually, you can't grab Saheeli and Sark on the Master List.
Yes, you can.
Because I was playing the deck. I copied the Samet the Tested that was a Spark Double.
Yeah.
And it came as Samet the Tested.
Well, then you ult it, and then you get a yeah. That still works.
So I ulted it and I still won that game because I ulted that Samet the Tested and then found Nicol Bolas Dragon God and then ultimated that one game.
No. You get Luca. You get the Ikoria Luca. That's just
why would you grab Luca when you can just
20
get the card that says
immediately? Both
Nicol
of them
Bolas
win.
just says lose the game.
Both of them win. This one gets around them not having a legendary creature. You still just win.
I feel like you're arguing over ammo types here.
Let's get
we absolutely are.
Luca Coppercoat Outcast. Let's look at this card. Win the game. It says it on the bottom line.
I'm looking at Nicol Bolas right now.
Each creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. You win the game.
Yeah, that deals like 21, but what if my opponent has played
more.
2 gain lands?
What if your opponent has played 1 legend?
Well, then you just grab another Planeswalker because you're grabbing 2.
Anyway,
yes, you are winning the game if you're
when you Planeswalkers, you win the game.
Sometimes you just get 3 Planeswalkers out. You're making good value on them each turn, and your opponent can only kill 1 at a time. And when that happens,
also
you will outvalue them.
Just to clear any confusion, you win the game with Luca's -7 because Stark on the Master List animates all your Planeswalkers into summoning sick, but still 5/5 drag 4/4 dragons, 5/5 dragons,
4/4. It's still
4/4 dragons, and that has enough Planeswalkers there that you will then be able to throw a bunch of damage at face because they're now creatures as well as Planeswalkers.
I thank you, Effie, so much.
God,
Well, yeah, so you copy the Spark Double, it becomes a Samet the Tested, you get Luca, Coppercoat Outcast, and Domri, and then you win.
This went so off track.
It's so good.
Which Domri?
3-mana Domri. It pumps the power of all your dragons.
So anyway,
it's a ramp
when you
card.
have a bunch of Planeswalkers.
So you're probably wondering how we got here.
No,
I sure am. What will often happen is that you'll be faced up against a deck with creatures, and they can just kill you.
Or your Planeswalkers.
And when they kill you, all of your Planeswalkers go away. So the alternative is that when you have Planeswalkers and are playing a bunch that make tokens because
yes,
they're good.
Effie, totally.
Yes, we're still talking about Broker's Ascendancy. Then being able to make the best possible blockers each turn while also not losing enough loyalty on your Planeswalkers to still be getting that value is a significant enough upside that even ignoring all the stuff about ultimates, this card lets a Planeswalker deck stabilize even in the face of creatures that can deal damage.
I get to play my beloved beggar, and it gets to become a 1/5. Great.
Well, now we've gone through a few things. We talked about the Gladiator Games results. I talked about my 4-1. The interesting thing, I think, that we are wanting, I think I want to highlight when it comes to Gladiator is that there is actually a few ways to play, right? You have the weekly events on every Saturday, starting typically 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Am I saying PM? Listen, time is a nebulous construct, especially considering I have not really slept in a orderly fashion the last few weeks.
That's fair. As it turns, this just in, we've got a special report. We are sending Seismic to the Shadow Realm for bringing up Saheeli Dragon.
Yep, I have
been because
cast
Seismic
away.
Is the one who went off on Saheeli Dragon.
Yes.
Covering for me is probably Effie in some way. Don't murder them. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, Effie's already been in this cast already. What with the various animated adding of cards and otherwise
we love it.
Magnifying glasses.
Shout out to Effie.
Just the three of us for the rest of this. Seismic is a great human. They'll be back with us next week. Just had to hop out. We wanted to not just like pretend like they don't exist. Anyway, yeah, you're talking about tournaments. They start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. You can catch the VODs for that over at the Gladiator MTGA YouTube channel. We'll probably put a link to the most recent tournament there. And just in general, there's some great magic going on over there, and if you want to play it, you absolutely should. Turns out my record in the tournament right now is 0 points. I've just been playing real bad, have been doing great. Oh wait, you get to hear me talk more there.
Yeah,
as well.
I am on one tournament so far. I was able to make it for the first one, and then Saturday's got a little full the last two times otherwise.
Yeah, I think I've gotten to show up for week 2, I think it was, and time sure is a thing.
It's good to know also that Effie has been putting a bunch of work into getting as much of the archived Gladiator tournaments up onto the YouTube channel for Gladiator MTGA, which not only includes the most recent stuff, but also the stuff that happened nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah. If you want to go watch me punt horribly a bunch of times, there's a bunch of VODs of that. Shoutouts to Boros Control versus Green White Life Gain, where I won a game with 3 minutes on the clock.
Yes. Now
after punting game 2 into oblivion with only 11 minutes left, but still playing it out. Now,
might
Magic.
I ask?
Yes, of course.
There is a deck that me and you have been known for.
Okay.
That got a bunch of cards from this last set.
That would be?
Oh, I don't know. Might be Cowtech?
Oh, yeah.
Novel idea.
Yeah, we got some Cowtech cards recently. That is true.
How has your time been playing it been? Have you played it?
I've played it a little bit. I haven't fully updated it with Neo cards. I was testing some stuff out. I've been building lists for a bunch of other people leading up to the Gladiator games because I didn't get to play, but I wanted to help other people play. So I've built a bunch of decks that were not Cowtech because of that. But I have gotten to fully recognize that deck is just like turn 4 Scarab God into styling it. I feel like I am styling on my opponent every time in the worst possible way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing though about that deck is that when you don't play things less than 4 mana, your late game is really good.
Yeah. You find some secret things that don't cost 4 mana. I've been a Waker shoutouts to Waker of the Waves.
Yeah, that used to be in the deck. It got cut at some point for some reason, and it's probably going back in. I think I agree.
I added it back after we got the channel cards because I was more often able to return things afterwards. It was probably correct to go back in
Waker of the Waves
before then.
Just effectively slightly differently worded channel.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, yeah.
Because instead of drawing a card, you just look at the top two.
Why is it on the screen like that? It's so big. It's
a very big Waker of the Waves.
Yeah,
such a big boy.
So sometimes you put it into play on turn 4 and you just win.
Yeah, because the other thing about using all these creatures that discard as channel effects is you are this sort of secret reanimator deck.
Oh yeah,
right.
Have you gotten to Live the Dream? I did. I got to discard
What's the dream?
Look at the top 2 cards. There was Final Parting as one of the cards and Unburial Rites as the other. So I got to bin Unburial Rites, bring back Waker of the Waves immediately, shut down their board, and then I got to Final Parting for the win next turn.
That sounds like you had a lot of mana.
Yeah. I got to Final Parting for the combo. They couldn't do anything, and I won on that next turn. My apologies.
Yeah, you still described 9 mana worth of things. Sorry, 10 mana worth of things in one turn. Wait, no, I'm bad at math. 11 mana worth of things in one turn.
No, end step turn 3, I discard Waker of the Waves.
Yeah, okay, you're talking about multiple turns.
Yeah, gotcha. Sorry. I got to have a turn 4 Waker of the Waves, which just shut down their board. Turn 5,
Final Parting. Yeah. I get it now.
Yeah. We're on the same page now. It was yeehaw magic, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. But I'd say the other thing that is exciting about Gladiator is that even without the tournaments, right, you still have people at all times looking to play games. Things sort of slow down as work happens for the various high density regions for the format, when the same high density regions are asleep. If they're asleep, I'm not asleep.
No.
But we do have a decent number of degens in the community.
Yes.
Summer 2022 is going to be a very interesting thing to see for Gladiator.
Yes, a large number of our community has noted that school brought down their ability to play consistently.
Yeah,
and summer is when that sort of stops happening for at least a little bit.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how play rates spike and how things go back to the grind, as it were.
Yep,
and talking.
Don't forget about the league.
Oh yeah, we've got the league. It still actually consistently sees players, even if it's something that needs to see more players. Short bursts, but it definitely, if you haven't checked it out, if you haven't tried it because you're worried about it being a bit too spiky or worried about finding games, just don't add to the problem by worrying about if you can find a game. Just send a message. There are people that are there willing to jam, and it is some spicy magic as it is.
Yeah, and then something I've done, and something I've seen happen every once in a while. Someone registers, looks for a game, and then someone else is like, "Oh, someone's looking for a league game. I guess I can register my deck and play a league game here."
Oh yeah,
because while there really isn't, other than being on a leaderboard, there isn't much pushing you towards being in the league. It is just another way to sort of show progress within a deck.
Right? Absolutely. It's a great way to get to the grind and find out what pieces of your deck work and what pieces of your deck don't. As long the more you play, the more you figure out about that. And
I also personally may say that it's a way to double queue. If I want to play the most dense Gladiator I can, I'll throw looking for games and looking for games and looking for games in League, because people playing League are a little more understanding that sometimes they need to wait for you to be able to come and play, because the queue times are a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, and I'm going to try for this transition the 7th time. UFO, you've had a lot of experience playing Magic. You've tried a bunch of different cards. You got to do a bunch of different things by testing these decks in League Q and LFG and all that. It's your turn up in the craft corner. What spicy craft do you have for us today?
Today, I am going to talk about Ilharg the Raise Boar.
Choo choo.
Which is a card that has been around for a little while. But
it's like 4 years now, isn't it?
Yeah, at least. I don't actually know.
I think it's maybe only 3, but it's many years. I just threw that out there to scare people.
But it has this thing where I'm not saying I'm the only one playing it, because I'm probably not the only one playing it. But just as a card and as an effect, it is really unique.
Yeah.
Being a 3-drop 6/6 trample. Sorry, not 3-drop, a 5-drop 6/6 trample. 3-drop in some decks. I'm sure Seismic's talked about being able to pay much less than 5 for that deck in Gruul Legends. But the specific use within this card is as a ramp target. Ilharg is just really good at making your redundant ramp targets much more immediately effective. And I really love it in Gruul Midrange, the deck I was playing to 4-1 finish in the Gladiator Games yesterday. And I think I would, and probably if I were to be, somehow lose love for Gruul Midrange, be playing it in other cases that, even just getting a 3-drop into play in addition to the Ilharg, you need to have the high density of like top end hits for it to work. Besides, there's also a thing about Ilharg.
Yeah,
it has the same text that makes Gladiator Kefnet as amazing as it is, which is it can't die.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say overstated.
It's overstated, but it also just can't die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of people playing, say, blue-white control or other X-white control decks. Especially non-counter-based control, Ilharg is probably the biggest problem they'll ever encounter. Because every third turn, having to deal with a 6/6 trampler that can possibly bring more things around, it just kills people. Like just being around. The God Eternal text is so impactful within our format, especially when you're going to be going longer. And then sometimes you put Ilharg in, and then you attack, and you put a Galta into play, and you do 18 damage.
Yeah. I've done a bit more quote unquote fair things with this card. Not fair, but we pretend, right? I've been trying it in a Boros deck. So I've been playing it with white cards, and there's some fun stuff you can do. Like it charges in, say, like a Brutal Cathar, exiling tokens, charges in like a Charming Prince, gaining me life, looking at cards, all that fun stuff.
It works really well with the enter the battlefield effects.
Oh yeah, I was playing Basri's Lieutenant in the list, so I got to keep growing my Ilharg every time that I was. There's also some good cards that have really good on hit effects, like when they deal combat damage, and this is a great way to sort of sneak those in, because turns out you can't really just block that favorably and then take 6 from a 5-mana Boar God.
Yes,
also, as it turns out, red is really good at just like accidentally ramping. So it's
treasures or otherwise. Mostly treasures.
Treasures, yeah, mostly. And you're just like, I haven't got to do this yet, but you can do things like bring in Kyodai, and that means that your Ilharg has indestructible for the combat, and you also have this flying 3/3.
That does sound quite good.
Yeah, it's there is some spice with this card. Definitely try it if you haven't tried it. This is definitely it's definitely a card that needs some more play.
And I don't think there's a way we can bring this up, but the Parallax version of Ilharg
Oh yeah,
is amazing.
That's not going to be able to be pulled up
because they animate the fur.
Oh yeah, so good. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get the parallax. It's that one's a bit. Thank you. Thank you, Effie. That was beautiful.
Oh my god, Effie.
We animated it. It was perfect. But yeah, if you get a chance, play the card some more. It's definitely gonna show up a bit more than you probably expect it to.
Mm-hmm. Just play most of the God Tunnels more. Honestly, they're all very good, and the text that makes Kefnet as prevalent as it is on all of them.
Oh, also, it does say that it returns the creature to your hand at the beginning of the XM step. So if it's something like, say you're using it to sneak in a card that cares about cash triggers or anything like that, like I've used this to sneak in a God Eternal Ketra that I would just off double white for whatever reason. It was turn 4. It was turn 4, to be fair. So you get to sneak it in and then cast a creature, make a 4/4, return the God Eternal Ketra to your hand. Felt good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Inquisitor Captain has been changed so that Ilharg doesn't work with it anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, that one does not work. Good with Sigardian. Yeah, what a shame.
What a shame. But
yeah, there's a bunch of fun stuff you can do with the card. Make sure to give it another look whenever you're looking at red in your deck. Probably not immediately correct for like a mono red aggro deck, but you could probably find some way to like. I've been messing around with mono red mid range, and I definitely want to just like loop Seasoned Pyromancers with this card, loop a Town Razor Tyrant with this card.
Go into Glorybringers, go into Terror of the Peaks, add an Ilharg.
Ooh. Chef's kiss.
Ilharg and Terror of the Peaks are very good friends.
Very, very good friends. With that,
and speaking of very good friends.
Yeah, speaking of very good friends.
Violet.
Oh, right. That's my job. We have a Patreon. I didn't know how to properly take that segue and do a thing with it, but shameless plugging time. I say without the ability to properly plug it, but I don't have any shame about that, so we're fine. Help.
So
yeah, we've got
I got this.
All right.
We have a Patreon, which is a great way for you to flip a few extra bucks if you believe that support is deserved. Honestly, right now, that support is going towards making sure that all the things you just saw when it comes to both the design and otherwise control of cards and announcements is able to continue.
That beautiful parallax replication.
Yeah. Because while this is, in a way, a hobby for the hosts, the editor and sort of producer behind this, Effie, puts a lot more work into making sure everything runs smoothly, and we want to make sure that they are properly thanked and compensated for that. And the Patreon is a great way for you to also pitch in and help with that. We have worked on updating the Patreon to be more accurate to what we're offering now, because previously it was a little less so. There are things that have sort of phased out of being relevancy when now that we're not doing pre-recorded podcasts. And just in general, a great way to show support.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to show support without having to go through a Patreon, another great way to do so is to join our Discord at the link in chat. The Discord is a great way to talk with us, and also a great way to be notified when these Sunday events are happening and any other events within the Second Right banner.
Content universe.
Because there's more than just the podcast happening within this group. It hasn't happened in a little bit, but it will be soon.
And with that, goodbye.
No.
What?
Bye.
Oh,
bye again. Oh, bye.
I'm being told the rest of us have to say bye. So,
I refuse.
I guess you can just stay here. Have fun with that.
Auf Wiedersehen.
It's never goodbye. It's just see you again later.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Why say goodbye?
You can't get rid of us that easy.
Yeah. See you again next week for
same time, same place.
Same second right time, same second right place when we talk about a thing, and you'll have to tune in and find out what it is.
I mean,
you
we
have
don't
to
know
tune in
either.
regardless. We've got you trapped here, so.
Same second right time, same second right place.
Same
Goodbye.
second right jokes. Bye.